get it. Alright, welcome in everybody. I have to change the title real quick. I didn't realize. Didn't change the title, but we're gonna get started streaming today. So I mentioned this on my PSSW Superfans group on Facebook. I was thinking about doing a live stream here at 3 o'clock. There we go. Should be fixed. Wait for some people to get in, and then we'll really get started with today's coverage. Okay, do we have anybody in at the moment? If so, go ahead and leave a comment down in the comment box. Comments or questions. We can start to get things rolling here. Probably only going to shoot for a short stream today. So, depending on how many people we have in, probably no more than 2 hours at most. Maybe an hour and a half. Just depends on the viewership. Okay. Post is live on Facebook. Okay, first view. Hello. Welcome in. Doing some live tracking of this cold front as it starts to move on shore. Posting to Blue Sky. And then posting to Twitter, and then we should be good. Okay, there we go. Alright, first viewer, hello, welcome in. Thank you for tuning in. It's pretty short notice for anyone who wasn't in the subscriber group on Facebook. Alright. Think the title should have been changed for everybody. It was showing the old easterly wind coverage at first, but it should start saying I think it was okay, frontal system coverage. Alright, good. Just got word there's another air quality alert in effect for Mason and Thurston counties. So issued at 1:59 today, in effect until midnight. Expected to be unhealthy. Definitely checks out. If we go back to the purple air quality monitor, it's doing all right now here in this area. Most likely because some of those southerlies have really begun to pick up. We do have a lot of moderate air quality around the Central Sound at this moment. Air quality is actually worse up here in the Bellingham area. And considerably worse as we go up into Vancouver, BC. Yeah, the east side is just something else right now. Okay, so you're warning us about wind, rain, or smoke. Yeah, I guess one of my posts earlier confused a few people, so I gotta clarify that. Current hazard. Apologies for any confusion this may have caused. Okay, I think we got all of that out of the way. So, welcome everybody. We're just going over some air quality concerns right now. Talking about how there's an air quality alert in effect for Mason and Thurston counties. As well as looking at the radar for the incoming front. So the leading edge of the frontal boundary is about to cross into Cape Flattery here in the next 20 minutes or so. And quite some heavy precipitation showing up over central Vancouver Island. As it begins to move into the Strait of Georgia. We're expecting rain sometime around, I believe, 10 p.m. for the I-5 corridor. Let me just go refresh things real quick and see what the newest model runs have to say. Yeah, so things are lining up pretty good with the models right now. So this is the NAM 30 cam. Let me zoom in a little bit to the state level. So therefore, you can see all of Washington State in this animation. So this is the simulation for 4 p.m. If we compare that to what the radar's showing right now, pretty good. Pretty good agreement there. And then this time, in the newest model runs I'm seeing, it looks like it wants to push the rain back about an hour or two. So this was the 0Z yesterday. 6Z started pushing it back. 12Z back even more. 18Z back even more. Alright, first comment. Hello, welcome to the chat. Yes, we're talking rain right now. So, we're just talking about the timing for potential rainfall around the Puget Sound region in western Washington. And how the recent model runs have really started to push this rain back by about a couple hours or so. Anywhere between about 30 minutes to an hour with each run. So I was just comparing model runs here. Like this was the last run. It has the leading edge here in Everett at 9 p.m. Now it has the leading edge on the other side of the peninsula here, on the other side of the sound. And so this recent model wants to start bringing rain into the Seattle area sometime between 10 and 11, probably around 10:30 or so. Then if we go and look at the HER3 cam, recent 18Z HER3 cam has rain a little bit later between 11 and midnight, so 11:30 approximately. We go to the 21Z. This is the most recent hourly run. The hourly run here on the herd wants to have the rain on the tip of Cape Flattery by 5 p.m. But it looks like the NAM's going to beat it with that because the leading edge of rainfall here with this front is already just off of Cape Flattery. See, where was I? There I was. So this has, the leading edge of precipitation here around 10 p.m. in the Seattle-Tacoma area. And then widespread rainfall as soon as we hit midnight. And some strong post-frontal showers embedded in here as well. So if we go back to the 18Z, you can get an approximation of how much rainfall we're looking at here. It's also picking up on this convergence zone feature down here too. I've had a lot of people asking about game time weather as well. So it's really hit or miss on that convergence zone. How long does this last? It's not going to be too long. It's going to be an extended chance of rain wherever this convergence zone really sets up. But if we look at precipitation total approximations, this I'll zoom in a little bit more for. So this is the farthest I can zoom in on this one. But it really has potent rain along the northern part of the Olympic Peninsula, along the coast, as well as some of the foothills of the Central Cascades and most of the Central Cascade crest up here. But it has a lot of that precipitation. This is the HER, by the way, so let's go switch to the NAM, see what the NAM has to say. See, big difference there with the new run of the NAM. It really increases these rainfall amounts along the foothills here. And it also increases the rainfall around the Olympics, including, there's your bullseye, right along where the Bear Gulch fire is burning, right up here. Which would be good news if this does verify. So this probably has the convergence zone. If we go to 1 hour precip amounts, somewhere around the Seattle area, I believe. Yeah, so it wants to have a fairly progressive convergence zone. So one that moves from north to south as the incoming winds from the west change to more of a west-northwest behind the front. So he wants to have it start somewhere around Everett and then begin sliding down south into Seattle. And around game time, 1 p.m., it does have rain on either side of Seattle, but we may luck out and have this convergence zone split into a west and an east, potentially. Go to radar here. It's going to be extremely close on timing with this game. This is 10 a.m. and 11 a.m., noon, and 1 p.m., right around the start of game time here. And through 4 p.m., it looks like it stays dry directly over the stadium. But it does have showers in the area of Lumen Field in downtown Seattle at noon tomorrow. So it's going to be extremely close on timing. These are once again 1 hour precip amounts. So it does have possibly some prefrontal showers here tonight. Although I have a feeling it may be a little bit too spotty. This doesn't really look right down here. We're looking more with the frontal feature as it comes in here. So this would be 1 a.m. tonight if all lines up here. One interesting thing too is I noticed actually that this model is not doing a great job picking up the post-frontal showers here. So not quite sure if that's a glitch or if the showers coming in are going to be dry at first until the main frontal boundary comes in. It'd be something interesting to look at for sure, because I wasn't seeing that signal earlier. The air ahead of this front may be a little bit on the dry side, and that may be why it's not showing accumulations. Let me see if I can pull up the sounding here on Pivotal Weather real quick. So yeah, most recent there. Right around the time the rain falls. I'm gonna pick a point right around Federal Way here. Yeah, it's definitely dry. Right around, this is probably 14,000, 15,000 feet right here. Then extremely moist as you start to get down towards the surface. Like anywhere between about 500 meters up to about 1 kilometer here is moist. A little bit on the dry side down here towards the surface. Definitely a nice little dry slot above the ground here as you go up about 1,000 meters or so. So it could be onto something about that, potentially. A really dry slot of air here the next hour. This is at midnight. So it's just possible that the air may be pretty dry here where the rain starts to fall until the front begins to move in. And then once the front moves in, it'll really saturate that air mass. Like, look, see how ridiculously dry it was on that frame? Extremely dry here, right below the 3 kilometer mark here. So I guess I could see why it's going to take a while for the strongest end of the front to move in to really saturate this parcel of air down here. Let me see if I can find the frame where that changes, just to show an example here. And of course it freezes, right? Isn't that perfect? Here, let me try one more time. When the heavy precip starts to come in, that's when it should really start to saturate. No, looks like my sounding's broken. Let me refresh. This should do it. Yeah, there we go. Yep, see? Really starts to saturate there. As the heaviest precip moves in, look at how quickly it saturates down here. The green line and the red line are almost completely identical all the way down. We're probably going to be dealing with some of that dry air at first, which explains why the models are showing this. Let's see what the HER has to say. Yeah, so we're pretty much through the 21Z. Yeah, trying to look at this convergence zone feature, it looks like it features more of westerly surge style convergence zone, which means the winds are coming in stronger through. Well, actually, I think the winds are coming in a little bit stronger through the westerly, through the Strait of Juan de Fuca than they are through the Chehalis Gap, which kind of gives it a weird sort of southwest to northeasterly orientation here with the convergence zone. But then it eventually begins to slide south as we go into the morning time Sunday. Let's check out some 1 hour precip amounts here. Yeah, same exact thing. So notice how the precip rates do not correlate with the leading edge of precipitation here. For anyone who's just tuning in, I'm going over some sounding forecasts to clarify this as well. But these models aren't showing the precipitation falling until the heaviest of precip with the front comes through. Because if we back up even one frame here, there's a huge dry slot here well above the ground. Oh yeah. It's off the charts, literally off the charts dry. It's because of that offshore flow that we have going right now before the front comes in. Then as the front really starts to move closer, this green line is going to get closer to the red line. And that just means that the parcel of air is beginning to saturate, which means the rain can fall through it without evaporating first. So we probably won't see any rainfall, any reported precipitation I guess, for lack of a better word right now. Any precipitation reports until the front's like right on top of us. See, as we go farther in the time, you notice the gap between the green line and the red line, for the most part, gets smaller. There's a point in time here where the gap is just huge at about 3 kilometers, but it'll really start to close off as that front moves in. And by the time the heaviest precip's over us, boom, saturated. Which means no rainfall evaporates at this point in time. This would be around 4 a.m. over the I-5 corridor. And then back to the radar checkup. Just depending on how heavy the precip is right here, some of that rain may make it through that dry slot before it evaporates. So we could start hearing about rain here in Cape Flattery, Nia Bay area in the next hour or so. Just going back to look at Facebook real quick, see if the message made it out. Yeah, my smoke posts and the fire updates have been getting a lot of attention on Facebook. So let's just... Alright, so far everything's good on the stream. So for anyone just tuning in, I was going over the radar image here, going over some weather models. And I also talked about the air quality alert that's currently in effect for Mason and Thurston counties through midnight. But due to the winds really picking up here ahead of this front, it's really going to drive a lot of that fire smoke way out to the east and really clear us up, because it's going to allow that smoke to mix in with the air efficiently enough that we won't feel it, like really smell it or be impacted by it down here towards the ground. Let's check what max wind gusts are here. So this is the HER model. So around 4 a.m. or so, it does want to pick up quite a few wind gusts out here along the Nisqually in the 30 to 35 mile per hour range. Not nearly as strong of a westerly surge signal as I was seeing before. So these would be max wind gusts after the front moves through. This is by 8 a.m. tomorrow. So for the most part, not really too impactful. What this is showing is it's a little bit hard to tell. You know, I did have to clarify some confusion on Facebook earlier. But some of these blue contours here are usually between about 15 to 25 miles per hour or so. And then the lighter color blue you get, you start going up here towards 35 miles per hour. And then you start to hit the dark green contour here. And then it starts going up towards 40 miles per hour. So probably some isolated 35 to 40 mile per hour gusts here along the southern coast. And this is showing 39 miles per hour for Bellingham Airport as well by 8 a.m. tomorrow. But I do want to compare it to the NAM, because the NAM is a little bit of a better picture of this. See, clear as day, westerly surge signal through the Strait of Juan de Fuca, going into Whidbey Island. So this 36 mile per hour gust here is, I think that's just south of Oak Harbor. That might be Oak Harbor itself, but that could also be the Naval Air Station. But yeah, some strong wind gusts here along the northern flanks of the Olympics. Of course, coming in through the Chehalis Gap down here near Grays Harbor. And then, of course, these westerlies coming through the mountain gaps through the east side of the mountains. Common occurrence with cold fronts as they move through. So this would be showing max wind gusts of 30 to 35 miles per hour through parts of the South Sound and Southwest Interior. but between about 25 and 30 miles per hour for the central sound, and some points north. This also shows 35 here for Bellingham Airport as well, ahead of the front. Time for a quick water break. Gotta start taking more of these while I stream. Sorry guys, just dealing with a little bit of a headache right now. Not sure what's going on with that. Think I just gotta drink some more water, that's all. But let's go take a look at hourly wind gust predictions here. It does really want to kick off these I guess these are west-southwesterlies. Out here through the Chehalis Gap, up across parts of the South Sound here. So this would be starting sometime around sometime in the next hour or so. We're really gonna feel these westerlies start to pick up. And looking outside the window right now, already pretty breezy. It's like the winds are coming out of the southwest right now. As I'm looking a little bit to the northwest, I can see some of that smoke haze as well. Thankfully, it's starting to become much more diluted. But these winds should really start to pick up here and exceed 20 miles per hour for a lot of the South Sound, parts of the southwest interior by 7 p.m. tonight. And then by the time we go into about 9 or 10 o'clock, already going to be gusting up to 30 here in Bremerton. Getting some nice gusts here in the northwest part of the Olympic Peninsula, near Nia Bay. Then westerly surge won't really start till the morning time, so this is around 6 a.m. when we should really start to feel this westerly surge come through. And then it's impacting Whidbey Island by 8 a.m. And those westerly winds are really going to hang on here as we go throughout the day. It's not going to be until probably early Monday morning before the westerly surge really starts to back off here. And thank you to whoever just subscribed too. Thank you very much. Very much appreciative of that. We're currently at 461 subs, trying to make a run here at 500 very shortly. So this wants to bring widespread 30 mile per hour wind gusts here around the South Sound. This is at 6 a.m. tomorrow. And then some isolated gusts, possibly exceeding 35 miles per hour as you go into the foothills. These aren't going to be the easterlies. These are going to be the westerlies coming through. And then start to shift over to, yeah, so it's going to be westerly shifting to southerly. And then back to westerly. And I'll show this on the wind barb map here real quick as well. So you see how these arrows are mainly coming out of the southwest here. Coming in through the west and going up through the Strait of Georgia as well. And shifting to more southerly as the cold front begins to move in. So notice how the arrows are coming almost out of due south here. And then pretty sustained southerlies at around 7 a.m. or so, and then the strong surge out of the Strait of Juan de Fuca due west at 7 a.m. showing 24 mile per hour sustained winds, not counting wind gusts here in the south end of Vancouver Island, if this were to verify. And then very powerful westerly surge going through the morning time here. It's just hanging on for a number of hours. Then notice the wind shift here. And then this is probably where the convergence zone is going to be, approximately. Where the northerlies coming out of the Strait of Juan de Fuca here. So they shift from west, start to come out of the north, and then they meet up with the southerlies here, coming in through the Chehalis Gap. And this is where your convergence zone forms, right here. It seems it wants to bring this convergence too far south too quickly because it doesn't really line up with what we're seeing here on the reflectivity. So it seems to be a little bit off on that, potentially. Yeah, the newest NAM wants to bring the leading edge of precip through at around 11 p.m. tonight, but even then, a lot of this may not make it to the surface right away. I'll probably have to wait for the heaviest precip here. See the yellow contours? This is heavier precipitation here. Probably have to wait for that to come through to really saturate the lower levels of the atmosphere because we're dealing with that dry air from this offshore flow still. Could get a radar update real fast. Yeah, so heaviest precip right now is falling over central Vancouver Island. And it's moving almost due east, a little bit south of east. It's got kind of a west-northwest to east-southeast orientation to it. This is why we were seeing some of these weird rain shadows pop up on the models if you guys were following on Facebook or Patreon. So just a reminder as well that I do have Patreon for Puget Sound Stormwatch as well. I do post all of my blog updates that I post on Facebook to here, as well as an optional membership tier to get some of these really extended and in-depth write-ups as well. So these are just previews. So this one is one of my... This is one of the tier 1 posts right here. Only $1... excuse me. Only $1.99 per month if you're interested. Just saying how mid-range models take a flip-flop yet again. As I've been posting these updates pretty frequently, usually once or twice a day, typically. I post them first to my subscriber page on Facebook, and then I post them to the subscriber page on Patreon. So if you subscribe on Facebook, you don't have to subscribe again on Patreon, because it's going to be the exact same thing, really. Patreon is just my Facebook blog for anyone that doesn't have Facebook, which is exactly what it is. So like this is one of my public posts right here, for example, showing simulated radar as the NAM 3KM started to come into range, as well as potential precip amounts, and these have since increased quite a bit. So, as you guys saw earlier, let me pull up a quick comparison here real fast. The rain shadows really started to fill in since the last update here. You notice how the white spot's pretty much gone and the gray has filled in with the green? That's good news. That is great news. So holding on pretty progressively with a south sound convergence zone here. It's pulling the same kind of signal here as well. So we'll probably have to watch that in real time. But I will be watching the game tomorrow, so I won't be able to give like a play-by-play update as the front's going on. I'll just post a general update before game time, just to kind of let people know, you know, hey, this is what you should expect during game time. Alright, anyone watching, do we have any more comments or questions at all? Comment section's been pretty dry for the most part. Gonna be taking more frequent water breaks as well, so I don't burn out my voice box. Steven, you're covering things very well so far. Thank you very much, Steven. Thank you for tuning in to the stream. And I haven't even given a fire update yet on this stream. So we need to go and get a quick update on our area of fires. Just seeing this pop up too, the Schoolie fire down here near Randall. So it was first reported yesterday at about 1:01 a.m. You do what you need to do. Yes, of course. We'll always do what I need to do. And then they updated it later on in the afternoon yesterday. So they updated it from a 1/4 acre to 1 acre. So we do officially have an unprescribed burn down here. Just outside of the town of Randall here. So hoping this doesn't start to really grow over time. So I'm hoping that the rains that come through late tonight into tomorrow morning will really put a damper on this fire. Because if it does grow anymore, it will probably threaten the Randall area. So eyes will be peeled on this burn down here, the Schoolie fire. 1 acre. A wildcat fire down here. Just reading some of these current updates right now because originally I was doing the... I gotta remember the name of it. But I was using a different fire map that did not update as frequently as before. And I switched over to Watch Duty, saw some good reviews on Watch Duty, and I haven't looked back. Okay, much more intuitive updates on here. So 1 day ago, it was at 8,849 acres. It's at 8,905 acres today, so the 56 acre growth overnight. Sorry, just got a notification there. Bear with me. But yeah, luckily, growth seems to be slowing down for the moment for the wildcat fire down here near Chinook Pass. These, I believe, are level 2. Yes, level 2 evacuations around the fire here, including all the way up on 410 here before hitting Natchez. And we got the Labor Mountain fire burning. Oh, excuse me. Jeez. Something's going on with me today. Labor Mountain fire here burning in Kittitas County. Got a little bit crossing into Chelan County now. This is quite a ways west of Blewett Pass. Again. Gonna have to mute those notifications. Okay, anyways. It's at 6,331 acres as of the last update. 7% containment. This was updated 7 hours ago. Then the huge one here, which is putting out a lot of smoke in eastern Washington. Even blowing some of the smoke back to the west side as well with some of that onshore flow recently. Offshore flow recently. Yeah, please forgive me. I'm a little sloppy today. So 23,833 acres burned in total. 20% containment. We're starting to get a slight increase in containment. But yeah, as you can see, this fire is absolutely massive, burning outside of Leavenworth. Pomus fire up here in northern Chelan County. 3,533.2 acres burned. No containment information at the moment. Another little one north of it, Martin fire. 5% containment total. And then the Perry fire. Good news, we haven't seen any increases. Actually, they decreased it by 5 acres in the last update, and it's half contained. So starting to get a good firefight against this Perry fire here, just outside of Ross Lake. This is extreme eastern Whatcom County up here. There's this one I've been watching too, the Red Mountain fire. It's hung on at 85 acres for a while now. As of 2 days ago, it was 80 acres, so it only increased by 5 acres. But no info on containment right now. Even had a small little half-acre fire up here. This was yesterday. So they put that out quick, the same day. Small little half-acre vegetation fire up here off of Highway 169 yesterday as well. Put out really fast. Within, like, they started mopping it up within the hour. They deactivated it at 10:44 last night. Have a prescribed burn down here, which I was really interested to see yesterday. 21-acre prescribed burn fire. No new updates on that, so I'm guessing that means they're really going to start to put this out if they haven't already. It's in a wildlife recreation area, which is kind of interesting. A couple of other really small fires that they've turned off notifications for, which I'm guessing means that they're either put out or... Pretty sure, I'm guessing that just means they were put out. Then Tunnel Creek Fire here northeast of the Bear Gulch Fire is at 430 acres. Day ago says it was at 397 acres, so it grew 33 acres overnight. And then, of course, the most infamous burning west of the Cascades, the Bear Gulch. Still massive growth. Like over the last couple of days, it's crossed well into Jefferson County now and just continues to move towards the north. Even a little bit of westward expansion as well. But the last update as of yesterday has it at 18,831.4 acres and still continuing to grow. And for anyone who hasn't watched recently, it was at 9% containment for the longest time. They cut it down to 4%, which was really disappointing to see. So overall, that's the major fire behavior, at least west of Ellensburg. So we go off to the east here. We have a lot of robust fires burning up here in northeast Washington, like all around the Columbia here. There's some pretty gnarly fires burning up here. Crown Creek over 14,000 acres. Rattlesnake 21,000, going on to 22,000, but luckily it's at 90% containment, so they're almost fully contained with this fire. Great news. Now, air quality once more. Let's go get an air quality update for you guys real fast. Yeah, it's hit or miss. You can definitely tell things are better in the last couple of hours. We're seeing a lot of yellow and some orange down here in the South Sound. And some crazy numbers out here, but the air quality has really improved around that fire. That's just because we're starting to get a lot of these southwesterly winds starting to pick up and really diluting that fire smoke, which is really helping our air quality west of the Cascades right now. Except if you're up in Bellingham or around the foothills where it's still moderate to unhealthy for sensitive groups at the moment. Of course, Eastern Washington, different story. Way different story. They're going to have to wait for the entire cold front to pass through and kick up those westerlies through the mountain gaps to really get any sort of temporary relief with these fires. Well, overall, the closer you are to the water, the better your air quality is going to be. That just seems to be the overall consensus here. Pretty moderate here in downtown Seattle. The Snoqualmie River Valley area is holding on to a lot of that smoke as well as it mixes down towards the surface. Go get a radar update. Yeah, it's definitely, this front's going to take its time to move in. If I'm looking at this correctly, it appears the front's actually pulling a little bit more to the northeast. than I've seen before. Like it has it moving from southwest to northeast almost, instead of the usual west to east moving fronts that we get through this area. Just got a report in here on Facebook. Got the southwest winds going here in South Hill, Puyallup. Nothing crazy. Just checking Facebook again. Okie doke. Alright. On a cloud in Sammamish, 0 wind. This is just for anyone who follows me on Facebook also. Just wanted to let you know I do post to my stories a lot on Facebook. So if you want any extended information, I'll share a lot of outside sources as well to my Facebook story. So that way you guys can find other weather pages that post interesting information around here as well. I'm going to share this one to my story that I just saw if anyone wants to go and see it. Okay, let's see here. Let's compare this to the deterministic. A little bit lower resolution. So it doesn't exactly have that terrain exaggeration that the higher end models do. It still kind of paints the rain shadow up here. Originally, the models were showing the rain shadow farther down here. It appears that maybe the frontal configuration has sort of shifted a bit in recent model runs, because it was showing more of a north-northwest to south-southeast kind of frontal mover, like this. Now it seems to be a little bit more west to east, if not southwest to northeast sort of orientation here. It's a little bit hard to tell at that zoom. Yeah, it seems like it's more of a west to east kind of traditional mover now, which would have our convergence zone develop in the typical spot that it does. Yeah, it seems like they're still kind of struggling to paint exactly where this convergence zone is going to form. Because the NAM here has the convergence zone in its typical spot, right along the county line here, where King County meets Snohomish County. Then it just kind of wants to break it up just in time for game time around Seattle. So maybe we'll get a break during the game and just not have any rain concerns. And after this, we don't have any rain in the foreseeable forecast for quite some time. And let's go over that real quick, because I haven't clarified that to anyone watching. So I gotta zoom out a bit for this. Let's go to upper level heights. So these are the remnants of the upper level ridge in place. The ridge starts to back off, and that allows this trough to swing through. That's what's going to bring our front. And then that front moves out. The ridge tries to reestablish itself. It's just a matter of how intense is this ridge going to get. Because the European deterministic here really shows this ridge start to pop out over our area as we start going into Tuesday of this next week. And it has it hanging on for quite some time. But now the European really wants to swing a trough here, which it wasn't showing that in some earlier models. See, like the 6, okay, that's not a fair one because it only goes out to 144 hours. But I think I was right around here. Point where this trough wanted to swing in, so right there. Go back to the 0Z. Not a single indication of that signal there. So from the 0Z to the 12Z, in a matter of 2 model runs, 2 model changes, we have a completely new solution on this model again. And then this has been picked up on the models for quite some time as well. It's just showing a stupidly powerful ridge going into October. This is new as well. I'm seeing all of this for the first time with you guys. I have to watch the orientation of this upper level trough here because be interested to see if that brings any thunderstorm chances to us. Doesn't really have any surface activity going on, so no need to worry really right now about any sort of wind threat. Just be interesting to see what goes on with this forecast. Because it doesn't show any surface systems here. Yeah, so I'm looking at dry precipitable water anomaly here. And maybe a weak atmospheric river signal here in the last week of September going into the first day of October or so. Showing a weakening atmospheric river signal here. Definitely lines up. I think I was looking for lightning flash density. Maybe a little bit on the southern end of the Cascades here. It's not showing a good lightning signal except for on the southeast portion of this trough here. This is all the way out. This is way out. Like 14 days in advance. So take this with a grain of salt. But in correlation to where that upper level trough is, yeah, by this time it's really intensified and started to swing south into NorCal and parts of western Nevada. And then it just goes completely stagnant and doesn't move. But then, look again. Mega ridge up here. Mega ridge. That would just be terrible news for us. However, there is good news. It does appear we're on the far south end of this ridge, so we may be able to get some weather in between the trough and the ridge. It's depending on how far this moisture plume extends. Not seeing a clear signal here. But this will most likely change with time. And if we go to humidity at 18,000 feet, shows clear as day where the highest storm potential is going to be. See, it lines up perfectly with lightning flash potential here. This time on the northeast quadrant of this trough out here. Be interesting. Let's go look at some temperature anomalies. Maybe not anomalies, but any observed temperatures. Craziness. Let's zoom in a bit here. Showing it hanging on into the 70s going into the first week of October down here in the Chehalis area. So in the lower levels of the Chehalis and Cowlitz River valleys, it wants to hang on to lower to mid 70s during the day as late as October 4th if this were to verify. But overall, still hanging on to the 60s for dear life as we go from September into October. I think I might have saw a day there. I thought I saw a day there where we didn't break. Okay. I was going to say where we didn't break 60, but no, we do break 60 on that day. Because really toasty is showing a toasty signal here as well. This is September 24th, Wednesday at 2 p.m. Showing a lot of low to mid 70s with upper 70s in the Lewis County and Cowlitz County areas. And then a scorcher down here in the Cowlitz River Valley here in eastern Lewis County on Tuesday. So just when we thought we had a lot of relief coming through, it looks like the models took a complete flip-flop on that theory. Let's go to 24-hour max temperatures. Yeah, through Wednesday. Big heat signature along US 12 to the west of Packwood here. And just still hanging on to that heat as we go into the first week of October. It's definitely no 80s, but the heat signatures are there to still hang around into the 70s for quite some time going into October. So I'd say don't put away your fans quite yet. See what the GFS has to say. It's going to be lower resolution, but it's still going to show a similar story here. I think the GFS may be going a little bit overkill here. This is the American model. Shows a lot of 80s Wednesday of this next week. And then even has 80 again the following Monday. But this is going way out into the extended, so let's not panic with this signal quite yet. But this would be showing widespread 80s again the last few days of September, if this were to verify as models are predicting. Let's see precip total out at this time. Yeah, that's extremely concerning. And the GFS, man, it's just showing almost no rain after this front going into the first week of October, which is a complete flip-flop from what it was showing before. See, look, just one model run before. Like, look at that dramatic change between one single model run. From something to nothing, just like that. Go check on the radar again. Yeah, so still heaviest of rains falling over central Vancouver Island. Leading edge of some rainfall moving into southern parts of Vancouver Island and parts of mainland BC. But if we go look at the visible satellite, if it decides to load, okay, we're going to do a refresh on this real quick. There we go. So, showing some stubborn marine stratus here, going all the way into parts of Thurston County here. See a lot of low-level stratus hanging around Grays Harbor, the Chehalis River Valley. And of course that fire smoke is extremely dense over parts of Quilcene, southern Whidbey Island, Camino Island, parts of Snohomish, Skagit, Whatcom, and even northern King counties. And then Wildcat Fire has a new smoke plume as well. There's a lot of smoke plumes here as well, too. So this is a Wildcat. I believe this is the Labor Mountain and then the Sugarloaf. A lot of smoke being dispersed around the area right now. This is the leading edge of upper level cirrus clouds, the little wispy clouds. Moving on to the coast, and then the leading edge of this front about to cross into Cape Flattery. But it won't be until we get this area here that we start seeing widespread precipitation. So you just gotta hang on to the smoke just a little bit longer before it really starts to clear out. Good news is it doesn't appear that the smoke is mixing down towards the surface as much. We do still have this air quality alert in effect for Mason and Thurston counties until midnight tonight. Alright, anyone watching right now, do we have any questions or comments at all? Is anyone tuning in? We're looking at visible satellite imagery at the moment. So this is the center of low pressure and the associated cold front extending from it. But judging by what I see here, looks like there's a little occluded front coming out from the center of the low pressure, splits into a warm front up here, and then the cold front all the way down here. This extremely elongated cold front feature with the surface level trough moving up towards Alaska right now. You can see this really drastic wind shift here along the frontal boundary as well. So we do have the winds pulling out of the south through the Strait of Georgia. It's starting to come out of the west through the Strait of Juan de Fuca. Winds mostly coming out of the southwest right now around the Puget Sound. Most of western Washington. And of course, as this front starts to move closer, southerly winds are going to pick up here around the Puget Sound. And once the front moves onshore, should switch to westerly once it crosses over the Puget Sound. Then that's when our convergence zone is going to fire up. Let's give it a couple hours or so. And then you'll see this dark little blue area here really start to fill in, and that's going to be our convergence zone most likely. So somewhere around downtown Seattle around this time. And then of course once the front's out of here, we're going to switch back to offshore flow. That's going to warm us up and dry us out again. You can see this better as we go up in height. Let's go up to 500 millibars here. on the outer edge of this upper level ridge here. It's like we might get caught in this jet extension. Depending on how that works out, slight chance for some weather to come in, but it's not looking great right now. Also been watching this upper level trough down here, California too, just how far north it goes. Because the models yesterday, I believe yesterday, were showing this moving up towards the Pacific Northwest and then getting caught in the jet stream and dragged out to the east before it could give us any real chance of maybe a thunderstorm in the Cascades. It appears to be much more stagnant down here now. So yeah, here comes this front, seen on the 500 millibar level map. I see it here clear as day at 5,000 feet. Even clear at 2,500 feet. Can still see it here on the surface level wind map as well. So let's go see. One model I don't show often is the Canadian model as well. This goes out to 10 days. It runs twice a day rather than 4 times a day. Same exact thing here. Had crazy rainfall numbers all around here. And they're gone. Just like that. It shows all of this falling in a 1-day period, and then after that, very minimal increases around the higher terrains. This is the AI model. And the 18Z is just starting to render, so we'll go with the 12Z. It wants to... It's picking up an atmospheric river signal for northern Vancouver Island again, too. Probably not until sometime next weekend. Maybe a little bit of this spreading into Washington. This doesn't start picking up the real huge rain signal until the first week of October, which is not lining up with what it's showing for the ridge that we're supposed to be getting. So, see, the AI forecast system here wants to bring a really deep trough down here directly into Washington. Doesn't appear to have much of a windstorm threat because we don't have any deep surface cyclone around this area. See if the AI does have any areas of low pressure coming nearby. No, it wants to keep most of it to our north. Let's pick another model here. The ensembles as well. Sherry says, appreciate all your info. Thank you very much, Sherry Wilcox. Also like to shout out Sherry Wilcox for being my first person to donate to the coffee site. I believe this is pronounced coffee, Ko-fi. Correct me if I'm wrong, but she's the first person to donate. So thank you very much for the purchase of 5 coffees. Very much appreciative of you, Sherry. Thank you again. Ooh. I would also like to thank the additional subscriber I just got. Thank you very much. We're now at 462 subs, and we're making the approach to 500 here very soon. If anyone's just tuning in, we're kind of looking at some radar as well as some weather models, doing some smoke and some fire updates as well. This is what current radar looks like. It's bringing heaviest rain activity to central Vancouver Island right now. And it's not showing up, the rest of it's not quite showing up on the coastal radar quite yet. Ooh. Sorry guys, I don't know what's going on with me right now. But yeah, eventually a lot of this should start showing up on the coastal radar. A lot of thunderstorms associated with some remnants of Tropical Storm Mario. Way down here in the desert southwest. Got a little marginal risk for severe thunderstorms down here in the southern Great Plains. But this is the area to watch for us. So as we start to get closer to the time that the bulk of this front makes landfall, it should really start to show up on the coastal radar as well as the inland radars too. And I'll be posting updates on that tonight and tomorrow before game time. Just to give kind of a final game time forecast before people start to head out the door. I'm also at 23,672 Facebook followers right now, so only 328 away from hitting the next milestone marker, 24K. All right, thank you everyone for sticking around. Probably gonna wrap up this stream real quick. Not feeling too hot today. I also helped that I had a family member who I was in close contact with yesterday who was a little under the weather, so I might have got what they got. It's kind of unfortunate timing, but you know, it is what it is. All right, Lisa, hello. Thank you for tuning in. Hello, and looking forward to some rain. Yes, I believe all of us are looking forward to some rain. I just wish it was more. I'm not going to be greedy, but looking at a lot of the mid to long range model guidances here, not showing much for rain going into October, which is a little bit disappointing. You know, and I'm going to pull up the surface low locations here, see if we have any correlation on any little surface lows making it into the Pacific Northwest. See, there's quite a disparity in solutions here. These are in 6-hour intervals. There's no real trend that's being followed here. It's just a huge scatter plot, and the farther you go in time, the more scattered all of these L's get around here. Even picking up a good little surface ridge signal here off the coast that would hopefully give us some onshore flow during this time. Sometime later next week. Lisa, oh well. Oh no, well, take care of yourself. Thanks for updates. Sonia, hello. Thank you for coming in. Thank you, Anthony. Feel better soon. Yes, appreciate that. Thank you all for the support. Big problem is I just gotta consistently drink some more water. I did put some electrolytes in my system earlier. Didn't seem to do very much. Just really just dealing with the sizable headache right now. Causing a little bit of that vertigo spin that I had for a while. Later last month, there was like a 2-week period where I was dealing with constant vertigo. Thankfully, it's nowhere near as intense as it was. Like, it was just a spinning sensation in my head when I would do anything, even lay down. Just felt like, you know, it was going like this the entire time. Really weird feeling. Let's look at some possible precipitation amounts. Is weak atmospheric river signal here, northern Vancouver Island. This is Tuesday. Then the ensembles are picking up on some passing showers coming through. These are 24-hour precip amounts here. So yeah, so let's go back, pull up some anomalies as well. So this is the 15-day precipitation anomaly right here. Unfortunately, with the ensembles, I can't zoom in farther than the Pacific Northwest sector. So this is the farthest I can zoom in. It does show some areas of above normal precipitation here possible along the Olympics and the mouth of the Columbia River. But elsewhere, not looking great over the next 15 days. Still seeing anywhere between 1/4 to 1/2 inch below normal for total precipitation over the next 15 days. We go look at 5-day anomalies. A little bit less, but then as you go farther into the forecast, it does seem to start to get better there for a little bit. So we do have right around or just a hair above average for precipitation amounts for this time. This would be from, trying to think real quick, this would be from Sunday to Friday, but like a week ahead. So I'd like to say the 29th to the 3rd. Okay, 28th to the 3rd. Just check my calendar. I was a little off on that, but yeah, the 7-day for this period here, really not great. From the 21st to the 28th of September, looking terrible for precipitation around here. And once again, slight bit of improvement as you go off in the fantasy land here. So precipitable water. It's a little bit above average. There is a little dry period here as well. Let's see what it wants to bring in for wind gusts. At this point, we're just looking at fantasy models to kind of pass the time a little bit. I've pretty much already covered everything about the front and the smoke. Unless anyone wants a quick little recap of what was said earlier. Yeah, I'm not, over the next 15 days, not seeing any real big windstorm threat in the models. So that's good. Let's check out the radar again. Yeah, here's our front right here. The leading edge of it, it's going to bring some high clouds in here in a little bit. See, all of these smoke plumes, they're all from the large fires burning around Washington State right now. So we got the Bear Gulch, which is Tunnel Creek is somewhere in here. It's being overshadowed by the smoke plume from the Bear Gulch. We got the Wildcat down here, Sugar Mountain, and hang on. Gotta go back and look. Lower Sugarloaf, yeah, so these are the 4 fires that are showing smoke plumes on satellite at the moment. I covered the Bear Gulch update earlier. 18,831.4 acres, still at 4% containment as of yesterday. This was at 8:40 a.m., waiting for another update here. So, no updates today yet. Ooh. Got some smoke yesterday in Cowlitz County, otherwise blue skies, fresh air. Yeah, Cowlitz County, if you're along I-5, is doing really good on air quality right now. So as you go up into the river valleys, so the Toutle, for example, Tootle's in moderate. The Lewis River, right on the edge of moderate. Got some areas of degrading air quality down here near Eatonville along the Nisqually. Cowlitz as well is kind of iffy. Overall, if you're near the water for the most part, unless you're in Seattle, you're doing really good on air quality at the moment. All right. Yeah, so as I was saying earlier on the stream, it's probably going to be a shorter stream just because I knew there's probably a lot of people getting ready to watch the Huskies game. So probably not the best time for a stream, but I'm also not 100% all the way there. Just got a monster headache today for some reason. And even even the electrolytes aren't taking it away, so not too sure about that one, but I think we're gonna start to wrap this up here in a few minutes. It's closing in on an hour and a half, so right around the time I was expecting the stream. I was saying anytime between an hour and a half to 2 hours, respectively. And we pretty much nailed it with that. So yes, a couple of little things, little tidbits before we wrap things up. Got to build up those stream hours. Catch you next time. Yeah, and actually the streams are really contributing to my total watch time on the channel, which is gradually, slowly getting me up towards that threshold to begin monetizing content on YouTube. So like, for example, if I were to do more in-depth forecast videos going way out into the future, I'd be able to make a really cheap little tier for that. Because right now, I'm trying to keep the channel cluttered down. Same on Facebook as well, but the viewership is really struggling at the moment. Not quite sure if it's just because the weather's been so stoic or what. You know, the last time the viewership was up was when we had those thunderstorms. Had a dramatic rise in viewership. Since then, it's just been kind of a struggle, you know. And I would love to stay doing this full time, but it's just not really sustainable at the moment. I'm losing a lot more than I'm making. And it's just, it's unfortunate, but something's eventually got to give. You know, I mean, one way, if you do want to help support the channel, you know, if you don't have Facebook, I'm looking at my Patreon right now. Patreon has really taken off. And so, like, I'm showing my most recent post here, saying models bump up precipitation once more. It's almost exactly the same as you see on Facebook. But if you don't have Facebook, this is like the blog if you don't have Facebook. So, I have these links in all of my descriptions and my live streams. I think I might have it on this one. Okay, no, I don't. So let me go put this in the description real quick. If you're interested in helping me out on Patreon, I'm going to post the link down below. And you can also view these as a free member as well. Hang on, where's my mouse? Okay, there it is. So, yeah, for example, I have one free member right now, 23 posts, but there's these subscriber posts that I have too. And I call it the intro forecaster tier. A lot of these here, I think this one might be it, giving you guys a little, okay, no, that's a public one. But just giving you guys a little sneak peek at what I post behind the scenes here. Here's one. Could the storm train make its return soon? This is since invalid since this was 5 days ago. I do post these daily updates so that there's no confusion. Talked about how we had an active storm train that could have started up. Sonia says, I want thunderstorm or windstorm here in Marysville. I'll definitely take a thunderstorm as long as it's producing wet lightning, like lots of precipitation. I think it's a little too soon to start talking about windstorms. You know, these models, as I was showing you, were showing some pretty robust wind makers coming into the area. But the models have since flip-flopped dramatically and have gone way against that previous solution. Of course, I also have the Stormwatch store as well. 2 days left. There's a 20% off everything coupon to redeem. Just released a new design yesterday, I think, as well. So this is Eat, Sleep, Stormwatch, Repeat. Available in 16 colors right now. But depending on which color you get, maybe a little bit hard to see. Like this is what it would look like on a shirt, for example. What the sweatshirt looks like. Eat, Sleep, Stormwatch, Repeat. So this is the base price. And 20% off would have the base price down to $31.99. I go back in time here a little bit. There we go. Let me take a selfie. Status Quo. Puget Sound Stormwatch logo. And every cloud has a story as requested on Facebook. And of course, I have coffee for one-time donations if you'd like to buy me a coffee. Exactly what it's for. Same exact thing as buy me a coffee. Outside of that, guys, yeah, I do appreciate all of the support that I've gotten. It's truly, truly refreshing to see. Overlay radar on this. Yeah, so we got the leading little edge of high clouds coming in towards the Puget Sound right now. It's moving in towards Bellingham, the San Juan Islands, Port Angeles. This doesn't have any precip in it at the moment. Now, you'll have to wait till we get to the bulk of the front here that's still just hanging on over central Vancouver Island right now. That's when we're going to get the rain once this really starts to move in. And as this front moves into range of the coastal radar as well, we'll start to really see this reflectivity start to pop up down here. So right now, this is just too far off the coast to see from the radar. Yeah, it's just impressive how you can see 4 clear as day smoke plumes right now. Anyways, do we have any last minute comments, questions, or concerns from anybody in the chat right now before we wrap things up? Yeah, the game actually just started. The Huskies game just started 5 minutes ago. Coincidentally. Give it about 2 or 3 minutes or so. Simultaneously looking at Twitter, Blue Sky, and Facebook as well. Okay, guys. Oh, with that being said, that should wrap it up for today's little short live stream. Definitely not feeling all the way there to be making a full, like, long duration live stream. Also, with the viewership going down because of the Husky game starting up. Definitely the perfect time to start wrapping things up for today. So I do appreciate everyone coming out. Thank you again for your support. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and share if you guys enjoyed this coverage, or if you guys enjoy the Puget Sound Stormwatch channel. Let's go ahead and really get that algorithm popping off so we can make an approach for 500 subs. And then after that, 1,000. And the possibilities from there are endless. As long as I can sustain doing this full time, you know. Been doing this full time for going on to 7 weeks now. And, you know, I like to be transparent with my viewership about what's going on behind the scenes. So as not to gatekeep a lot of information. And, you know, I'm not going to lie to you guys when I say that I'm struggling to do this full time. Like, I love being able to make blog posts and YouTube videos full time. But it's just, it's unfortunate because I'm not making any money from it. So I'll probably be firing up the resume here in the next couple weeks or so. But hey, it is what it is, you know? And so, yeah, it's time to wrap up the stream, everybody. So I appreciate you guys again for tuning in, but it's time to go watch some Husky football as well. So we're still on track to have this front come through and start bringing precipitation early in the morning, like before the sun rises. So probably have some scattered rain showers around game time, most likely with the convergence zone. But the bad air quality is temporarily on its way out. It's just a matter of how is the smoke going to look after the front comes through when we don't have any rain or really any wind makers to move that smoke out of the way. That will be the big question. All right, take care, everyone. This was Anthony, again with Puget Sound Stormwatch. I'm going to be signing off for the afternoon. New updates should be coming to the Facebook and Patreon pages tonight before I decide to call it a night. And then expecting one tomorrow in the morning before game time.